Hey, what's up? This is, we'll call it part B, chapter 13, 14 of the Travel Chronicles. Not sure. What you'll notice here is, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's right here over my face, a little bit of new garb that they gave us at work today to, if we interact with people, it goes into effect next week by OSHA. Within 6 feet, we got to cover our mouth. So it'll be interesting. It's I don't know, when they talk about the new normal of things that are going to happen. I don't know. Maybe that's the new normal. I had to take my hat off a little more, but. Some interesting things have gone on this week besides the Gator, the new Gator, which is pretty. It actually is pretty sweet. Like I actually like to run in this thing, especially if it gets a little cold or something. I think that'd be great to run in. You can wear it as a headband too. I'm not gonna mess with it too much when I'm driving, but. Yeah, I think it'll be good. Completely unexpected. So the other things that happened this week, I kind of talked a little bit about them trying to get the economy going back. You had a guy get fired from NASCAR because of the sports, right? There's still no sports going on, so they're doing tournaments, or basically playing video games with an internet connection. And one of the racers said a racial slur. Well, that's easy to say, huh? And immediate backlash, and he got fired. Now the guy used the N-word. He's half Japanese, right? So there's always been this kind of I can't remember what movie it was. If it was Do the Right Thing or White Man Can't Jump. But like one of those movies where. But I think it was Do the Right Thing. And the guy he was an Asian guy. He's like, no, I'm like you. Talking to the black guy. And you don't know what kind of cultural steps people have taken. Because as a minority, I think there's some shared things that have happened, things that happen between cultures, especially comparing them to other cultures. So, what was allowed, or what was normal or accepted, I guess, in his social circles. When you come out and it's just like, oh, I guess I can't say, even if that's something he said in his normal life, right? If that's something you don't just blurt that out. If that's something you don't do, if that's something you don't say, that's not something that just comes out while you're playing a video game and talking to somebody else. And the guy that he was talking to was a white guy, so you have a guy who has half Japanese, I think it's half Japanese ethnic background, calling a white guy the N-word, and everybody's up in arms about it. And it wasn't a slur. It wasn't used in an angry way. It's one of those things that you can't say that. But here's the thing, right? Because he's a half white person, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, that said that, then the reaction was it got him fired. It got him fired from his job. And that's probably what would happen with pretty much any white person in any job, they would say. But the way that he said it wasn't in a racist way. It wasn't in a derogatory way. It was, and this is a guy who's 27 years old, so he's 14 years young, 15 years younger than 15 years younger than me. And when I was growing up in the 90s, when I was in high school and college, that 8 to 10 year period, there were a lot of, that it kind of came to the forefront. in rap music, in videos, movies, even TV shows, like that word got thrown out. Like black people could call each other that, and it was cool, right? And you listen to music, and it's in the music. You watch the videos, it's in the videos. So, you know, when you're growing up, it's like, well, it must not be that bad. But I'm kind of in that generation that, you know, saw how like an older generation used it, and it wasn't, you know, in that way. And then you see like the young black artists, music, television, use it in a way, bring it to, you know, kind of prominence, widespread acceptance. And there are going to be other people that latch on to that, right? So, you know, the young white kid, oh, you can't say that. Well, you can't say it to a black person, but call another white person that. You know, because, you know, that's kind of because I won't say you're living that culture, but you're listening to that culture, you're seeing that culture. And I don't know if there's a certain, you know, willingness to want to interact, but, you know, that's what America's supposed to be, right? The melting pot. And now you've taken a term that was derogatory, it was negative, and now it's in entertainment, and it's kind of thrown in your face a bunch. But it's still unacceptable for white people to say. And now even, you know, 20 years later, than that, you know, when it was, I would say, kind of introduced and thrown at you mainstream, right? It wasn't in entertainment. It wasn't in anything before that, before the 90s, before it started coming into rap music. No, it wasn't in music. Nobody said that. You know, Gladys Knight and the Pips weren't doing that. Even if it was something that was behind the scenes where people were, you know, black people were maybe calling each other that, it wasn't something that was out there in mainstream. You know, if it was anything that was in videos or movies, it was the derogatory racial reference. And you would even have like teachers or professors or whatever, you know, bringing it up. If they brought it up in history class or something, that was the context it was brought up in. It wasn't for entertainment purposes or, you know, for music. So, you know, that was kind of like the first introduction. You know, and honestly, I was right on the borderline of generations that got it. So to fast forward, you know, we're a generation in now to that exposure, to that everyday, well, not every day, but music, different things, and where you're exposed to it, and it's still the same repercussions, but it's at a different level of acceptance in my mind for younger people, you know, and I see it. And it's not something that I teach my kids that it's okay to say at all. But I've seen other kids use that terminology. And not necessarily just, you know, black kids, but white kids. And referring to black kids, but not in a negative way. They're just like they're friends, like they can use it. And I think there's a certain acceptance in certain groups. You know, you spend so much time with each other, you know, if, you know, within that group, a white person may be able to refer to a black person if they're, you know, they're friendly. You know, black people have used that in connotation with each other to be a friendly reference, I guess, amongst each other. So they bring that white person into the group, then that white person can use that with them, but not with other people. It's not widely accepted. Just because one person said you could say it to them, you don't get to say it to everybody. So I think that's kind of isolated, but you still see kids growing up with it in their small groups that, okay, yeah, no, it's cool. You know, they don't see the problem. It's their friend. They're not saying it in a derogatory way because they're friends. They're friends. So now you have this kid who's 27 who's using it, probably has called other people that aren't the same ethnicity that word in a friendly way, not in a derogatory way, and he calls a white guy that. And the backlash, the knee-jerk reaction is still, wow, that's way wrong. That's super wrong. You can't do it. And my general question is, the general hatred for the word is because of the connotations that it has, because of what went on for hundreds of years. The derogatory nature of the word, the demeaning nature of the word, and you had that explosion kind of in the 90s where the black community tried to own, right? They wanted to take over that word. I mean, they wanted to have the power over that word. But I'll contest that, they can say as much as possible. There's no repercussions. They can call each other that. They can call a white person that, and there's no repercussions from it. So what power do you have when there's no repercussions for the word? You have free use of the word, I guess. But if somebody else says it, and I guess in this instance, Kyle Larson said it, but not in a demeaning or negative way, but still had to deal with all the negative repercussions from it. So that's a little shocking. But if somebody used the word to get a certain response from somebody, to elicit a response, it's going to. So, my contention would be that they would have the power in the word to elicit the response that they wanted. Now, in his case, he thought nobody could hear him, but he was live streaming a video, so it was broadcast to whoever, and he got caught saying, and I guess in that instance it was obvious that he didn't have any power over the word, and he got essentially fired from NASCAR. So it would be interesting. Let's say interesting. If someone in the black community came out, or the black community in whole would come out and say, you know what, Kyle Larson did, it's cool. Like, we're not mad at Kyle Larson because Kyle Larson didn't use it in an offensive way. He's not at one of these racist rallies, cursing black people. He said it as a term of endearment to a white person. So, it was like his buddy. He's like, what's up, bro? Hey, where you at, bro? It's like that. Not, oh my gosh, I hate, it's like this racist term. So it would be interesting if the black community came out and was like, no, Kyle Larson, you're fine. Yeah, you guys don't have to pull your sponsorship from him. What he did was not wrong. It's it's totally fine. We're not endorsing that you say it, but we understand. Heat of the moment. It was, I don't want to say an accident, but clearly it's not how he conducts himself normally in the public eye as a NASCAR racer, interacting with fans and different things for however many years he's been doing that. Now he's 27, so just weird. That's just another weird thing that happened this week. And I don't know how they're gonna restart, the economy, the sports, get all that rolling again. They're setting dates, but really, you look at the numbers, 0.5% of America has been infected, have been tested and infected and tested, however you want to say it, with the COVID virus. 1/6 of the population, and we're saying, okay, we're through the worst of it. It's a sixth. What if 10% of the population is going to get this? We're not even a tenth of the way to that. It's remarkable to me, and it's like, oh, we still want to use social distancing, this, that, and the other. Oh, and China came out today and said that, oh, we miscalculated the numbers from the deaths in Wuhan. It turned out there was a 50% increase in the number that we reported as deaths, so that was only 1,200, which is still just a fantasy number in my mind. There's no way that number is real. We know their first number wasn't real. Now they're finding, 2 months after the fact, they found another 1,200 bodies that were attributable, whose deaths were attributable to COVID-19. Give me a break. They're way more than that. And they're still not being intellectually honest. You know, it was probably, how can the U.S. have like 25,000, 30,000 deaths already in 2 months? You know, and China was the epicenter for this without any prior knowledge of it coming, and only suffered 3,000 deaths. But it just doesn't add up. And they have, you know, they have 4 times the number, 5 times the number of people we do, somewhere around there, 4 to 5 times, and had so far 1/6 of the deaths. And they didn't know it was coming. They were just so ultimately prepared. No, of course you've attributed the deaths to the wrong thing. And, you know, you're probably not even accurately counting how many people have died there. Or, you know, whatever you did to try and cover it up. So, a little ridiculous. A lot of crazy things this week. You know, I hope things get back to normal. But honestly, I don't know how right now. I don't know what normal is going to be, right? You know, there's always a step change. Like after 9/11, like before, you could go through the airport, you could walk right up to the terminal where people were leaving. You could give them hugs, you know, watch the plane back out, take off, and then you left. And since 9/11, now you can't go past the security checkpoint if you don't have a boarding pass. So you can't just walk back in. You know, and that was just a step change. People just, you know, that's just the way it is now. It's not a matter of whether or not we're going to go back. That was a step change to the new normal. So is covering your face every time you go in a store going to be the new normal? Is wearing this or a bandana or a mask, is that going to be the new normal? Yesterday was the first time I went into a Walmart and I wore a mask on my face. And they say it's not, wearing the mask isn't for you, it's to protect other people from you. You know, if you cough, if you sneeze, all that gets captured right there. It doesn't go out into the air. You know, so if you're not sick, wearing the mask doesn't help other people. You know what I'm saying? And protection from you, from somebody who is sick, who's unmasked, will be debatable. You know, I don't know. I guess we'll see where things end up. But for right now, for next week at work, this is the mandatory look. All right. Take care. See you later. Be COVID free.